हिंदी में थोपड़ा बोलते हैं।
थोड़ा।
ओह राइस
अरे लाइव हो गए लाइव आराम से। तो मतलब आप में से बोलेगा कौन? तो मुझे लगता है कि लाइव हो गए तो शुरू कर सकते हैं। राधिका, आप इंट्रोडक्शन, तब तक हर
Yes.
तो कोई
Start. Am I properly audible? Once again, I would like to check.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Very good evening, everyone. Namaste. I hope you all doing great. So I welcome you all. I welcome the esteemed guest of our today's talk series. And our today's talk series topic is the guests are going to talk on Felix Scholarship. So I would like to shortly introduce you to the guest. So Mr. Preetham is pursuing LLM from SOYAS as a Felix Scholar. He graduated from National Law University, Delhi in June 2021. During this time at NLUD, he wants to perceive of the legal services committee for 5 years, where he worked on different projects related to improving the access to the legal system. He has also worked with Project 39A for 4 years on a project that inquired into the mental health of death row prisoners in India. He's passionate about constitutional law, technology, law, and tennis. Uh, Now comes to let's talk about Vijaya. Yeah, Vijaya is a Felix scholar pursuing LLM in Law, Development and Globalization from SOYAS, University of London. She is currently the sponsorship director for SOYAS Consulting Society and advocacy coordinator for SOYAS British Red Cross. Pursuant to her interest, she has engaged with diverse set of entities ranging from intergovernmental organization like Asian African Legal Consultative Organization and Commonwealth Secretariat, international non-governmental organizations with special consultative status with the ECOSOS, then some domestic non-governmental organizations, National Human Rights Commission, and the Government of India. Adrija is currently pursuing an MSc in Developmental Studies from SOYAS. She completed her graduation in history from Shiv Nadar University. Adrija has worked with Man Deshi Foundation in rural Maharashtra as part of the Indian Fellow Social Leadership Program. While here, she worked on a program related to women's economic empowerment and rural livelihoods. Adrija later worked with Bharat Krishak Samaj, a farmers advocacy organization. In the run-up to the United Nations Food System Summit, she is interested in the linkage between agriculture, nutrition, sustainability, and rural livelihood. And at last but not least, our another guest is Hercules Singh Munda. He's an engineer turned linguist come entrepreneur. Born in Jharkhand, he is native member of Munda tribe of Jharkhand, India. At present, he is studying MA in linguistics. Some of the things he is passionate about are languages, design, and traveling. When not working, you may find him in the world of painting, poetry, or cooking. Thank you. This was all about our guest. And without wasting much time, I would like to hand over this stage to you guys, to our guest. Here comes Preetham.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Great. Hi, guys. So the structure which we are going to follow is that I will speak about the general Felix information, and then we all will individually cover our own experiences and learnings in filling up the form and also the SOAS application process, admission application process. And how will I approach it is that I'll take you through the important questions, and then we'll talk about the application process in general, right? And in the beginning, I would just like to give you a heads up that there is no hard and fast process which you should follow, right? If there are like thousands of applicants, there are going to be thousands of unique processes. Each individual has their own journey, own story, right? Own different experiences. And I'm just here to reveal my journey, what worked, out to get through the scholarship. That's it. Right. Let's start with the Felix Scholarship. What is Felix Scholarship? It's a fully funded scholarship. And as per your website, it is given to academically gifted students who intend to pursue their masters from either SOAS, Oxford, or Reading. So these three institutions, and there are up to 6 scholarships available to each of these institutions. It covers your tuition fees and provides you maintenance grant. Then we have, the deadline is 20th January for 22-23 cycle. If you already hold a master's program, master's degree, you cannot apply for the scholarship. And what they require is a first class bachelor's degree from an Indian university. You in the form or in the application, which we'll discuss also, that you have to demonstrate some kind of financial need. And then you are also expected to return to India, to your home country. And then, most importantly, you must have submitted your SOAS application, admission application on or before 20th January, which is like before the deadline. So that's like the most important part. We have like 7 days from now. So, if you haven't submitted your application for SOAS or for Oxford or for Reading, do that. And then, again, very important point, which is that apart from the form, they also consider your admission application, right? They will send along with your form, your admission application to the panel, and then they will go through both these documents and make their decision, right? So it's important to fill in your form in sync with your admission application, right? So we are also going to discuss a bit on that. Right. All right. So that's general information about Felix. I think shortlisting takes place somewhere around, for us, it took place somewhere around June, and then we were, somewhere around May, and then we were called for an interview in June, right? So that's there. Now, apart from it, if you look at the form, there are basic details which you have to fill in, right? But then there are 3 most important questions. And then let's start discussing on those questions, right? That what are those questions, how you should approach those questions, right? And I think my colleagues are also going to share their own experiences on how to approach these questions. The very first question is, what benefit, apart from these questions, there are general information which are straightforward. So we are not going to go into that, right? So the first question is, what benefit do you believe your course of study will bring to your home country, right? So how I approached this question was that that you identify a problem, right? Link it with your undergrad study and then your work during your undergrad, all of that. And then you say that why you think that this problem can be solved by this particular course at SOAS, right? So for instance, how I built this answer was that when I was in 3rd year, I was really interested in, let's say, right to access the internet, right? So I was like, okay, this is something which is really interesting. And I'm in law school, this is very niche sort of area of interest, which undergrad law school won't really cover, right? So and then I decided that, and then I worked with an organization which works on similar lines. And then there, I decided that, okay, this is something which is like a problem. And I think that by pursuing an LLM, let's say from SOAS, I would be able to sort of deal with this problem, right? So that is how I framed my answer. I don't think if there's any word limit, I'm not sure, but this time I don't think there's any word limit. So, but then it's all, be precise, be like, write your answers point to point and don't exaggerate much. So that's the first answer. That's how I built it. Give details of post of responsibility and say whether it's school, university, college, or elsewhere. I would say that don't copy paste what's there in your CV, right? Maybe let's say if you have worked, if you have interned at a particular organization, write the name and then maybe just in one line, what exactly did you do, right? So, sure, they will have access to your CV, right? So the form will help them to just sort of get a glimpse of your profile, right? So let's say if you have worked with an organization, write that and say that worked on whatever, like worked on right to access the internet. Or maybe if you have worked with a lawyer, for instance, then you just say that drafted, assisted in drafting writ petitions, right? So, and then you can, you can, don't mention everything which is there on your CV. I would say that sort of cut it down to 5 or 6 important position of responsibility, and then mention them in this answer. And then the last question is, give details of your main extracurricular activities and interest. Now, I think, in our CV, we mostly write about our academic engagements and all of that. We hardly touch upon our extracurricular engagements, our interests, other than academic profile, all of that stuff. So I would say that use this space to write about that. And then maybe, let's say if you have debated before your undergrad, right, in your school, let's say, so you can highlight that. And maybe it's good to highlight your achievements here, that let's say if you have won a debate competition, say that you are interested, your area of interest is, let's say, debating, and then you won this competition, whatever. So use this space to say something which is not there in your CV, right? Great. So that's about the Felix application form. Again, there are some tick-offs that don't exaggerate on your answers. Make sure that the details about other than these 3 questions, like cross-check them at least twice, thrice. Make sure that there's no sort of error. Yeah. All right. So quickly, let's jump to the application process, right? Now, I don't know how many of you are applying for this cycle, or how many of you are, let's say, in your first, second year. Let's start. I'll assume that you are in your, let's say, first, second year, and you have some vague idea of pursuing masters. So, the very first question that comes is that where you should start from, right? So what I did was, when I was in my third year of my law school, I was like, okay, this is something which looks interesting, and how should I, work upon my SOP? And like, I had very vague ideas. So what I did was, I started writing about I started reflecting basically about my engagements, that, okay, I worked with this organization and this was learning. I worked with this organization, and like, I succeeded in doing so, I failed in doing so, all of that stuff, right? And then try to link with my area of interest. And then I try to, let's say, answer the question that, okay, why masters? Why is this going to help me in my, let's say, future goal? So that's what I did. It was very bad. But, after like 3-4 drafts, I was like, okay, I mean, even if I don't get through admissions or scholarships, the good thing is that there is some sort of headway now, that and like clarity on what I want to do, and what did I do till now. So that was there, and it also helped me in building my SOP for sure. So I would say that, do that. Start writing, start reflecting about your engagements, your work, your study, your area of interest, and then go through it again and again, right? And then what else you can do is that, maybe in terms of, so, a lot of students ask that, okay, what should we start doing now to get through LLM, because we are still in second year and we have got another 3 years. So what you would suggest we should do? I would say that, identify your area of interest. It's okay to even identify your area of interest in, let's say, last year of your undergrad, right? And then as soon as you think that this is something which really fascinates you, start looking out for organizations which work in this field, maybe lawyers, maybe start assisting your professors who are working in this particular field, and that will give you a fairer idea of your interest and why you want to pursue LLM, right? Now, someone who is not starting for 22-23 cycle, but for the next year cycle, and then again, the question is that how do you shortlist colleges? What I did was that, okay, so there can be like 3 particular factors to it. First is particular course, right? So if, for instance, if you want to pursue development studies, let's say, so you would say that, okay, you know what, like SOAS is like one of the best institutions for development studies, so I'm going to shortlist SOAS, right? Then there are also students who prefer shortlisting a particular college, right? So you can say that maybe you would say that, oh, I want to study at Oxford, so that's why I'm shortlisting Oxford. So that can also be one of the factors. And then there are also students who focus on a particular country, right? Because, so for instance, for me, okay, the US application process, particularly for LLMs, it's very lengthy and very costly. So I dropped it and I focused only on the UK. So, that can also be a factor. And then what I did was that I created a Google sheet, and then I mentioned, what I like, I had columns like name of the college, deadlines, scholarships available for that particular course, general scholarships available, deadlines, all of that stuff. It helped me keeping a track of everything. So that's what I did. And that's how it helped me in shortlisting the colleges, right? So, okay, that's there. If, let's say, if you're not applying for 22-23 cycle, these are the things which you should keep in mind. Now, focusing on the immediate challenge, 22-23 cycle, if you're focusing on that, the first and foremost is your personal statement, right? And it is your own story, right? It is your unique journey which you would, and there are highs, lows, ups, downs, everything, but it should be very honest, right? Make sure you talk about your failures and learnings from your failures, but don't let your failures overshadow your learnings, your achievements, right? So these are so start with your story, start with your like give. That's what I did, right? You can do however you want to do. I started with a story, and then I connected that story to my law school engagements, my experiences, and my understanding of different subjects, particularly, let's say, constitutional law. So I linked my work with a particular research center. uh, I linked it with the learnings from the constitutional law course. And then after that, I linked it with the most important question is that why do I want to pursue master's program, right? And then answer that. And then after that, I think you should answer that why master's program from this particular college, from SOAS. So that's what I did. And then, so in that, you can highlight about a particular professor, a particular module, at SOAS, and all of that stuff that, this is the particular, it's available on their website. You can go through their website, check out your particular course and particular modules in that course which are available. So that's how I did. And then I said that, what, this is like the best institution, best college for me in terms of my area of interests and my engagements. And then I highlighted my short-term and long-term goals from this master's course. Uh, 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 and then, uh, what, this is very interesting that the story which you started in the beginning, you know, act like what comedians do, for instance, right? They start with a particular incident, with a particular story. They take you through different incidents, different stories, and then in the end they connect that story in the beginning, right? In the end they connect it. So I would say, and that gives that gives the reader like the whole picture. So like complete picture. So do that, but make sure that you do not repeat what's already there in your CV. Use this space to, let's say, reflect on what you have done, reflect on what you've said in your CV, all of that stuff. So that's about SOP. I have another 5-7 minutes. I will quickly cover on essays. So as doesn't ask for essays, right? But Oxford does ask for an essay. It can be on any topic, but it should be, it should be a critical analysis of whatever you're writing on. So let's say if you are applying for an LLM in human rights, conflict, and justice, right? So your essay does not really have to be on any of that topic or under that topic. It can be on anything which you have done. It should be, for instance, Oxford asks for a legal essay if you're applying for BCL. So that's there. What their assessment criteria is, they are just assessing your ability to sort of come up with an argument, counter that argument, and defend that argument, right? So these three are like important things to keep in mind when you're writing your essay. It should be 2000 words. Yeah, I think. And then in terms of reference letters, the content is important, not the person. Uh, um, and I would say that the most important challenge, I would say, is to approach your referees, right? Because a lot of students do not have access to their referees. So if you are in, let's say, early stage of your undergrad, I would say start working with your professors. But now if you're applying for 22-23 cycle, maybe write to your professor who you think know you well and who you really liked during your undergrad, and then say that you are applying for this particular college and why you are applying for this particular college. Maybe it's a good idea to send your SOP to them and then ask for a reference letter, and then also say that if they want you to work with them for a couple of months on any particular area of research, it should be, that's how I approached it, right? I was really interested in the work which this one professor does. And then I approached them and I said that I can work with them for a couple of months if they want. And they allowed me to do so. And then after that, they wrote a recommendation letter. So, that also gives them, that also allows them to write a lot more about you. They'll get to know you better through that. So that's about reference letter. And CV, so I think one of my friends, Surbhi, at Eklavya only, I think she conducted a CV building session last time, which is like very comprehensive session. Go through that session and I mean, follow the format which is there for your resume. And I think apart from that, yeah, make sure you apply early, make sure you don't miss your deadlines, and sure, ask your seniors, ask your friends, ask us to, like, if you want us to review your applications, because I personally feel that that's very important, right? And sure, it comes from privilege and all of that stuff which we acknowledge, which we had, right? And I think that that's very important, that someone's reviewing your application personally, someone who's already doing that course reviewing your application personally. And sadly, it's that structure which is being followed. So that's what, like, reach out to us, reach out to your seniors, get your applications reviewed as many times as you want. And yeah, that's it. Vijaya, do you want to take it further?
Yes, hi, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Eklavya for holding this session. I'm very sure it would be, I mean, it's always good to know from experience, from what people did. Something might not work for you, something might work for some people, but I think it is very important to talk to people, to have a conversation with people and try to understand what works and what doesn't work. So beginning with Felix Scholarship, or let's say any scholarship, I think the first thing which goes through an individual is shock, anxiety, stress. I mean, you go through the form and you're like, okay, I mean, majority speaks that everybody's like, oh God, what did I do? I have not done anything. It's difficult. I am not worthy. And then you start an introspection and it's mostly negative. So, I mean, there should be two thoughts at that time, which I would like to, I mean, if I had a mentor, I would have expected them to talk me in. First, you cannot compare yourself, your resume, your SOP, your work experience with anybody else first. And the second, it's important sometimes to get anxious, not a lot, but then it helps you sit down, calm down, and think, what do you really want in life? Do you want to go to London and have a fun trip, and that's why you're asking for the scholarship? Or do you want to make a difference in what you believe in? Because if it's the first case, I think it will be difficult for you to jot down an SOP or answer the questions which this scholarship are going to ask you, because these are not straightforward questions. These are very objective questions requiring subjective answers per se what your experience is. So I think firstly, don't get stressed. Secondly, take out time and start thinking what matters to you. Will this course matter to your, I mean, time is money and it's very precious. So you should start thinking about, do you want to be there? And I don't think it's about scholarship. I think more or less it's about what is important to you. And if you can prove to people what is important to you is going to make a difference, you are going to stand out no matter where you have been, what you have done. It might not matter that you have not done an international internship, but if you can showcase your passion and you can showcase that you have undertaken, you've done a lot of efforts pursuing to something, I am very sure a lot of things, a lot of privilege of having a mentor, of having people help you out, of doing some internships which arise out of contact, which is not necessary that you might have. So I definitely think sit down, take a deep breath and think, is this important for you? Do you believe in yourself? Because firstly, you need to believe in your candidature that, okay, I have not done a lot of things, but I have done some things. And those some things are really important and it could make a difference. And the third thing is, I mean, any failure is not end of the world. So I think when you start preparing an application, you try to do your best, but when you start expecting the results, you think it's all right, I might not make it, but then you are clear what you want to do in your life. And this scholarship is a means, it's not an end to anything. So taking it forward from there, talking about Felix Scholarship, what are the questions and stuff. So I think most of these scholarships, I mean, not only Felix, most of the questions are centered in a way where they want you to scrutinize what and reflect upon your experiences and describe them. What have you done? What is important to you? Why what is important to you should be important to other people? And how can you develop it further for your own benefit and for the benefit of the world, and the benefit of the world, or at a local or a national level as well? So this is what I think is the gist of any scholarship application. They might twist the questions, but this is what essentially they want to know about you. I remember when I was writing my application and I was very disheartened. And one of the person whom I reached out via LinkedIn, and again, reaching out to people is so very important. People don't stress enough. Reaching out to people is not only important for networking, but it is important because you want to know, do you want to spend 1 year in London? Or you want to know that, do you want to spend 1 year or some time in XYZ university? You just want to know the experience of people in order to judge, do you want to do it or you do not want to do it? And again, I think human experiences talk much more than what you read on internet and stuff. So I think reaching out to people is very important. Coming back to the main story. So I reached out to this person who was a Shivling scholar. And I told him that I'm not able to do it. I'm giving up. And that person was, you were expecting somebody to give you 40 lakh rupees or something like that. And you don't think you're competent enough to write down that you believe in yourself. That's wrong. So again, you are going to get a lot of self-doubts. Do not give in. It doesn't make sense. You are the first person. You are your first sponsor. You are the first person who's going to endorse your own self. You are going to go talk to teachers, to professionals that, okay, write to me an LOR. So if you cannot believe in yourself, you cannot endorse yourself. I think keep repeating to yourself that, yes, you believe in yourself firstly. Then getting back on the question, the first question is, what is the proposed future profession in your own country? And I think many scholarship applications, not only Felix, has a very similar conversation tone, like, what is your future profession? What do you want to do? Why are you coming to us for money? Why should we sponsor you? So I think it looks like one question, but according to me, in my experience, it's a very complicated question. It is a complex question composed of questions like, what is your professional goal? What profession do you want to enter? Then they want to judge you on that, how much do you know about this profession in a context? Like, how much do you know about this profession in context of your own country, in context of an international market, and things like that. Then I think they want to know, what skills have you developed in regard to this profession, in regard to pursue this profession? And then I think this question also wants you to answer, how can this course, this scholarship, this university develop the skills pursuant to this profession? And then lastly, how is this profession going to make a difference at any level? So I think this looks like a simple question, that what profession do you want to be? Okay, I want to be a lawyer. I've studied law. No, it's not that easy. You are required to curate your answer in a way where you're answering all these different points. I know it might sound complex, but when you start writing and when you start thinking, I think you can find more objective questions hidden within this one simple question. But it is all about how well you sit, how well you introspect, and how well you can write. Coming on to the next question, which is, what benefit do you believe your course of study will bring to your home country? Oh God, it's not that simple as it looks. Like, okay, I'm going to go study law and I'm going to improve the I'm going to improve the judicial system in India. It doesn't work that way. And I'm very sure it doesn't work that way in many other fields. So how I converted this question for myself was, first, they want to know what course I want to do. Second, they want to know how can I convert the skills that I get in this course into real life action, real life goals, real life answers, real life solutions. Then they want me to talk about the nuances of the course, the skills that this course is offering. And then again, it looks very imaginative about talking about, okay, I'm studying, and how can you be sure that it's going to benefit your country? Maybe COVID hits again. I mean, the situation has yet not resolved, but how can you be sure? I mean, while I was writing, I thought that it was such a superficial question. But when I pondered deep upon, I did not think it was superficial. I just think I just lacked the imagination to understand that they want to know that once you're done with the course, once you're done with studying, what do you want to convert this course into, the skills into? What would be your immediate short-term and long-term goals? Of course, natural calamity and external circumstances can prevent you from doing it instantly. But I think if you are very clear with what you want to do in like next 2 years, next 5 years, next 10 years, I mean, it's just 1-2 years more delay, but then you're going to get there. So giving an example, you can say that, okay, I'm pursuing law over here. My immediate goal after this will be to start a think tank, or maybe organize a think tank. That would be a little bit more realistic with the connections, network, and skills you've secured during your master's. Your short-term goal could be establishing the center well, getting resources, getting funding, etc., etc. And then long-term goal could be covering stakeholders and helping in the policy work with the government, collaborating with different governments, maybe starting an index on whatever you want to work upon. So let's say I want to work upon modern forms of slavery. So maybe I could say that my think tank would develop an index in another 5 years to measure the index of modern forms of slavery in India or maybe the world. So this is how you could curate. This is again just one perspective. I'm very sure there are many different perspectives, but my simple answer to this would be, they want you to talk about everything that is relevant and everything that you can derive relevance from. So, I mean, watch out for these questions. Then another interesting question is, give details of your first responsibility and say whether it's school, university, college, or elsewhere. So I think it was very interesting because they included school as well. So for some of us, we have a lot of extracurricular activities at school and not at college. And for some, we have balance, and for some, we have none. So I think, again, one thing about writing application is your perspective. You can say that you don't have anything, and you can say you have some things, and they add up to a major skill. So talking about how I curated my extracurricular skills was, I thought about what work did I do on a local level, on a national level, and on an international level. I think one thing which is a star point and which people tend to forget while writing application is, okay, you say you've done a lot of work, but you don't tell what benefit did that work bring in. Right. So I'll give you a very simple example of what I did. It might work for you, it might not work for you, but this is coming from a personal experience again, so forgive me for that. So one of the examples which I wrote was, I undertook the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan internship in one of my, I think in my early years of college. And so this is how I describe it. I think you can Google the nuances of what is Swachh Bharat internship. I wouldn't go on that detail, but I would like to tell you how did I write about it, because it's very interesting how people can explain and narrate very simple experiences. So I wrote it like, the government of India chose me to lead a village, which initially showed that of course the government of India has a lot of authenticity. So it showed that the government relied upon me. Then it showed that it was a leadership skill because the government of India chose me to lead a village. Then I talked about who were the stakeholders. So I went on and said that I was working for the benefit of 2,000 families in that village. And this is how it makes sense. I could have curated in a lot of different ways how it would make sense, but I think this made most sense to me. When you talk about things, try to be precise. Who is it going to benefit? What was your role? What was the goal? What was the scope? So as I said, the scope of my internship was advocacy and activism. So I think you need to be very clear and very precise and very sharp in your language in order to make that effect. And this is the effect which people often tell, okay, this is in star effect. Oh, wow, this was like great. I don't think anything is great or not great. I think how much can you take out of a difficult or an easy situation? I mean, that's a personal opinion again. So this is how I curated. And then at the end, I said that, of course, it benefited 2,000 families. And what can be seen, or how can the effects be quantifiable or measured, was that a year later, the site was declared defecation free, which shows that whatever work I undertook had an effect. So I think this way of writing, not only for SOPs or question answers or resume, makes a lot of sense. This could be something where people could develop, because people tend in writing very jargonistic language. They only prefer, okay, I worked for this topic, this topic, this topic. The person reading it, according to me, may or may not know what jargons you're using, may not know, okay, you researched upon this topic. What is the real-time effect of this topic? There are thousands of people researching on this. How did you researching upon it, you working on it, you litigating upon it made a difference, is something which I feel is very important. And again, it can be perceived in many different ways, but it is upon the listeners to interpret it in whatever way. But I think it is very important to curate your work experiences in the way which you want to speak up or talk about it. And it should definitely show passion. Otherwise, it's a bore. Everybody in the world is working and doing something relevant. You need to showcase why is your work relevant. And I don't think people have a lot of time, so try to be very precise. Do not try to unnecessary talk about things which might not have been important, or which could be put into lesser number of words. I think Preetham also said that, but I think you can not emphasize enough upon it, because people tend to broaden or overstate things which are not that important. Anyways, so this was all about Felix Scholarship application. I think most of the applications require such answers. Just be clear in your head, be precise, and I think everybody can make it, because it's not helpful getting anxious because the next year you're going to see your peers, someone in your peers or someone who was at your position made it. What are you going to do? Cry? I mean, it's so much better to give in your best rather to procrastinate or take stress about something. Moving forward to the other aspects, such as SOP, I would briefly cover it because the session is not particularly about that. But talking about SOPs, I guess for me, what is important in SOP is you need to tell them what is important to you. It could be some work, it could be some field of work, it could be a problem. So somebody can say, I think gender equality is a problem. That's why I undertook law. That's why I'm studying a particular field of law. That is why I want to do XYZ course. Or somebody can say, I am very passionate about law, and I'm going to work in order to develop XYZ field of law, just because I'm passionate as a lawyer, right? So there are different ways, but it is very important in SOP to tell that what is important to you. After you have narrated what is important to you, you need to tell what work have you done, because external actions show that you're really interested in something. I cannot say I'm interested in something and not do anything about it. That's not passion. That's not how passion conveys. So next you need to tell, okay, I have done a lot of work. Of course, it might be that you're privileged. It might be you're not privileged, but you need to show some work that you have done in that field. Apart from some work, the work, more than the work, the skills are important. So you did XYZ work. What skills did you develop pursuant to that? And then you start talking, what are your future goals? How is this LLM? How is this master's course going to make sense in the future course? And then again, it's very important. LLM, any master's course, any undergraduate course is just a course. It's not a career. You need to talk about how do you want to convert this education, this skill, all of these into a career. I think that's most important, and that should come at the bottom. There are very innovative ways to write SOPs. Some people write poetry, prose, speak in third language. And I mean, they're very innovative ways, but I think SOP is a very personal experience. Again, a personal advice, I think, do not share your SOP with a lot of people and ask for feedback, because it is your experience. And sometimes people are not very perceivable about new experience, which is a little sad. So for example, something which I have not done, I might not able to relate to it, hence I am nobody to comment upon it. But again, as I said, it's good to talk to people, it's good to listen to people, but then I think you are at the end of judgment, that how much do you want to take away or take in from the conversation. Okay, so coming back, this is all about SOP that I had to comment. Okay, in the meantime, talking about something which is important is clarity, convertibility. How do you convert your actions into skills, into passion, into a career? You need to talk about that in it. And then you can innovate it in as many ways as you want. And I think that's why a lot of drafts of resume, a lot of drafts of SOP matters, because you get the chance to innovate. Okay, maybe I can write this differently. Okay, maybe I can say this differently. Or maybe I don't want to put this at all. So I think, again, even if you're not asking a lot of people to read upon your SOP, what you should do is you should redraft it. You should go back after 10 days, after a week, and rethink, is this what you want to tell somebody about yourself? Yes. So other than that, coming back to a resume, I think a resume should be well formatted, in the sense of it should be easy to read. You don't need a fancy resume, but you need something which is easy to read and easy to grasp. And then I think, apart from work experiences, achievement is a section which should be there in everybody's resume, because this is a scholarship application. They want you to stand out in some way or the other. Apart from the achievement, I think some extracurricular engagement needs to be there, because I think people really engage with and really appreciate, okay, you're a work person. Apart from the work person, how do we know you are sane? And you would not go crazy. I mean, what are your leisure? What are you interested in apart from work? So I definitely think extracurricular, maybe a small section, but you should definitely put what your abilities are, because sometimes people network over football. And you're a lawyer, and you don't know, like, you're not talking about intricate laws, but you're talking about football, and you're networking, and you're engaging in with the professional. So I definitely think extracurricular should be there on your resume. Apart from extracurricular, it is very important to curate your CV. So for example, if I'm applying for a university which is very research oriented, I am going to add a section about publications. Definitely I'm going to add, and I'm going to talk a lot about it. But if I am applying to university is very application based, then I'm going to talk about more about my work experiences. So I think it becomes very important, to demark what internships do you want to put in. So let's say if I'm doing an LLM in gender studies, I am not going to put in my resume a lot of emphasis on my corporate internship. Yes, some experience to showcase that I'm a diverse lawyer, but not a lot of emphasis, because this is a scholarship application. This is a specialized application. They want to know why are you the best in your field and how can you take it forward from there. So I definitely think curating your CV in terms of where are you applying, what are they expecting, what you should put in depends absolutely on where you're applying, right? So I think, again, give it a thought that you want to put, what do you want to put in? Last advice on resume would be, do put in volunteership activities. It does matter what kind of person you are. Nobody is going to fund you if you're a very bright person, but if you're going to turn up in somebody who is not good for the society. So I definitely think giving back to the society is a very important point, and not only to put it on your resume, but I think volunteerships are very, very important personally. Then the last topic for the day from my end would be LOR. As Preetham said, if you have time, go to your professor, tell them that you want an LOR maybe a year or 2 years later, and ask them to assess you, ask them to give you work. That's the best way possible. I did that when I was in third year. I was not even sure I would be needing an LOR, but I wanted a real LOR. I did not want a repetitive one, because, nobody's going to say to you, most of the professors are very nice, they're not going to say no. But it's going to lack the extra effect. It's going to lack an extra component to it, which you would definitely want. So I think the best foot forward would be, go to whoever you want your LOR from, and then ask them that, would you please assess me for a year or two? And then maybe I could take an LOR if you think I'm worthy enough. Apart from them, what I think is you need to convey very clearly, because there's some scholarships which give guidelines for LOR in terms of that they want that in what percentile are you in your batch, for how long has your professor known you, stuff like that. So I think it becomes very important for you to convey to the to your faculty members, because they have a lot of work to convey clearly. You want them to write this. Again, on a personal level, I think it becomes very important that you ask the professor to write what do they have expertise upon, and how long has your relationship been with the professor, because I think that matters a lot. Doing a 1-2 month research assistantship and somebody knowing you for 2 years and pondering upon you and writing upon you, I think personally makes a lot of difference. And it is, again, big names against quality. You can take your LOR from anybody. It should not be a personal, but a professional acquaintance. And if that person knows you well, I think no matter what, your LOR is going to be very great. And coming to an end and concluding, I think do not take stress. I think everybody and anybody can make it through. I think personally, everybody wants to know, okay, what's special about this person? I would conclude with this. I don't feel there's something very special about me, except that I'm passionate and I like doing what I'm doing. And had I not had got this scholarship, I would have still continued and thrived to do what I'm doing. And I think this is what makes a difference. This scholarship or any course or any college is just a way. It's just a means. It's not the end to anything. So don't get depressed. You might be the best of lot, you might not get it, and you might be a little less, but you still get it, so that you can thrive, improve yourself, and show to the world that you have it. So in any case, I think your motto should be to pursue what you want to pursue and to get clarity in life, what you really want to do. I think that would make a lot of difference. Okay, that's all from my end. I would invite Adrija to share upon her experiences. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sorry,
Should I be going?
Hercules will be going.
Okay, good. Good. Hello everyone. Namaste, Johar. तो मेरा नाम हरक्यूलिस सिंह मुंडा है और मैं झारखंड से हूँ. मेरा आई एम फ्रॉम द मुंडा ट्राइब, सो आई बिलोंग टू द एसटी कैटेगरी or scheduled tribe communities. I'll talk a bit about myself, कि मैं कहाँ से आया हूँ and my background, and then I'll be answering the questions, and after that I'll give you my suggestions. So I was born in Kiriburu, which is a part of Jharkhand and Orissa, और उसके बाद वहाँ से I very quickly moved to a Christian boarding school because the situation was not good. And I say this क्योंकि all across India, I've traveled and I've seen this common problem of civil disputes, things like Naxalites and society not being good. And उसके कारण I see कि लोगों को हमेशा बाहर जाना पड़ता है. And that's something which is like very relatable to the rural India, कि लोग हमेशा अपने घर को छोड़ के बाहर जाते हैं पढ़ने के लिए, क्योंकि for a better education opportunities. So I also went like that, and then I did my class 10, class 12. I had a very clear idea that I want to be an engineer. So where I turned, I wrote JEE mains, and then I cleared JEE mains. I went to BIT Meshra.
आवाज आ रही? Hercules.
I think there's some disturbance.
That's where the real life realized that education and degree are to what you're studying and why. But there's hello, yeah. So I realized कि there's a big difference between education and degree, and that's where I started working on my personal projects. Like moreover, I was bit by the idea of entrepreneurship, कि खुद का कुछ company चलाना है, खुद का कुछ organization चलाना है, and so that's when I started my first venture, which was more. यहाँ से धीरे-धीरे करके I also moved into co-curricular, because until 12th India में क्या होता है कि सब बोलते हैं पढ़ो, तो you have a very narrow minded कि सिर्फ पढ़ना है और कुछ नहीं करना है. But I was always this guy who would do so many things at the same time, and I got that opportunity when I was in college. So I joined Fine Arts Society. I joined Photographic Society. I started Environment Club. Then at the same time, I was working with the local NGO, and then I was running my own project, doing freelancing, and managing academics. Uh, what happened during this time was I couldn't manage things. Although I was doing so many things at once, so basically मैं अपना time waste नहीं कर रहा था, but I was not able to prioritize because उस समय सब लोगों को क्या रहता है कि people are not matured enough. I was not matured enough, and I didn't know how to prioritize, yeah, what to prioritize, and consequently I had to मेरा डिग्री टाइम पे कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ था, but I had a job. Because I knew things, वही education and degree का difference क्या बात है. तो फिर I realized कि I don't need a degree to get a job, and I went on to Delhi to continue working. For 2 years, I was working for 2 years, and then after that, I thought, let me just come back and then complete my degree. As soon as I completed my degree, I realized that I should reflect and think about what I have achieved and what I have lost. In the process, I realized that uh, I was doing very much good in terms of career. अच्छा नौकरी अच्छा चल रहा था, घूम रहा था, दिल्ली में था, पैसे अच्छे मिल रहे थे, बट एट द सेम टाइम आई वाज नॉट हैप्पी, आई वाज नॉट कंटेंट, बिकॉज मैं घर से दूर था, मेरे फ्रेंड सर्किल कम हो गए थे. I was, as I said, ki I'm someone who does lot of things, but here I was in Delhi, just sitting and working 24, like 16 hours out of the 24 hours. तो फिर लाइफ बेसिकली जो बोलते हैं कि फीका सा हो गया था. And then I decided, idea of changing my shift, like changing my career from engineering to different spaces come out. What also happened during that time was I was sharing a flat with an architect, a social worker, and a business head. And ये तीनों लोग जो थे वो तीनों अलग अलग पर्सपेक्टिव लेके आते थे. Like architecture was more about designing, social worker she used to tell about developing space and how people like about the economic disparity, and the business head he used to talk about like businesses and entrepreneurship. And so with them I got influenced, and then that's where the whole idea of social entrepreneurship came in. And then I applied to a fellowship in Hyderabad, which was supported by Niti Aayog. वहां पे मैंने 6 महीने देखा कि 6 महीने उनके साथ प्रोग्राम किया. And I learned a lot about development space. I learned a lot about marginalized communities. I got to experience a part of India which is rural India, जो कि मेरे को सिर्फ लगता था कि वो झारखंड में है, but then with them I realized it's all across India, and in fact like it's a huge chunk of Indian population stays in the rural India. वो experience होने के बाद I wanted to do something, and then I started my own company which is Trilingo, which deals with languages, specifically tribal languages. And मेरे जब मैं start किया तो I had money enough to support me 1 year, and then the whole idea was I'll give entrepreneurship a chance for 1 year. एक साल करके देखूंगा. If I'm able to achieve something in 1 year, that means I'm in the right track and I have the appetite for it. If I don't achieve anything, I'll just go back to academics, or I'll go into the formal life, which is like working in a corporate or anything. 1 year I started working. I was lucky enough कि मेरे को I got a mentor from Triple IT Hyderabad. She agreed to give me a workspace, and then she agreed to mentor me. Or so within 1 year, I worked alone without any financial support, without any stipend or anything. But एक साल में मैं काफी सीखा, and that's where I developed my core of in regards to language and linguistics. सारे theories मैं पढ़ा वहाँ पे. And by the end of 1 year, I was lucky enough that I was able to secure my first round of funding, and that gave me a sort of validation that hey, कि मैं सही direction में हूँ. During that time also, one of the things that my professor told me was that you should go for academics, because that will that will help you more in terms of your in terms of what you want to do in a longer term, which is like to work on languages. So that's when the whole idea of studying masters came in. So what I mean is I never thought I'll do work in the social space. That came very late, like after working 3 years. and I never thought I'll do masters. That came after 4 years working, after after the engineering 4 years came. So it was very recent, but since all this while I was very passionate about things I was working, so subconsciously I was developing what we call like मेरा profile बन रहा था कि I was doing a lot of things, and I never intended कि मैं masters के लिए मैं profile बनाऊंगा. I was just doing things, and looking back, those things became the profile for me. And उसके बाद फिर I applied to masters, and I got in. One of the problem that I faced was funding. That's why first year I couldn't come, and then I thought, okay, that's fine, because SOAS was generous enough to defer my applications, and so I realized I had a 1 year time जो कि मैं आराम से funding को secure करने के लिए use कर सकता हूँ. And that's what I did. I applied to many scholarships, and I was good. I got into Felix Scholarship, and so yeah, that's how my journey has been till from a small hamlet or एक छोटा सा गांव जहाँ पे 50 लोग रहते हैं. In fact, my village is called Sorlonga, which means 16 families, 16 लोग. So मेरे गांव पे like there are 16 families who live, and वहाँ से coming to a London, which is like it's been amazing journey. And so yeah, now talking about some of the things that I wrote down and I wanted to share with you is like जो ऐसे तुम्हें क्वेश्चन पूछे जाएंगे, what benefit do your course of study will bring to your home country? So for me, my answer was I was doing it for myself and my language and my community. So I explained them कि कैसे tribal communities में language loss हो रहा है, and also I told them about education. Me being the second generation learner, because my father just got graduated. उन्होंने graduate किया just because he like उनको नौकरी मिल जाए. Otherwise he would have done 12th और उसके बाद भी वो छोड़ दिए होते. But he got a job while he was studying 12th में, and then उसके बाद वो पढ़ते पढ़ते उन्होंने graduation complete किया. And he still stays like in उनको वो गांव जाते हैं, उनको गांव पे रहते हैं. I'm someone who grew outside my village for a long period of time, and so I'm a second generation learner. And so yeah, I told them, the committee, about this. Ki I believe I was lucky enough to come out of my village, but not everyone is, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. तो मैंने उनको वो बताया कि कैसे education language एक बहुत बड़ा problem है, and that still need to be done. About my responsibilities, as I said, like I am someone who likes to do many things. Like English में बोलते हैं jack of all trade, master of none, or one. So I was always engaged in so many things, like from creative stuffs to cultural to management to charities. So and I really enjoyed those. मतलब खुद को push नहीं किया कभी, because I'm someone who enjoys it. So it came very organic and natural to me. And that was so I had all those points written in my for the answer. And specifically talking about the third question, which is give details of your main extracurricular activities and interests. That's where I highlighted the main points which I think जो कि अलाइन कर रहे थे मेरे कोर्स के साथ. तो मैंने वहां पे उनको बताया कि कैसे मैंने आदिवासी डेवलपमेंट नेटवर्क के साथ वॉलंटियर किया, जो कि ट्राइबल लैंग्वेजेस एंड कल्चर के ऊपर अलाइन हो रहा था. या फिर हाउ आई वॉलंटियर्ड फॉर टीचिंग दिल्ली पे. तो वहां से मेरे को पता चला कि मार्जिनलाइज्ड कम्युनिटीज में कैसे एजुकेशन का क्या स्टेटस है. और सो फॉर मी जो application है उसका I had two strategies. One of the strategies was something called kth iteration, which is आप जब अपना आंसर लिखते हो तो उसको for the first draft is A B C D वैसे करके आप कम से कम k times आप उसको रिवाइज करो. And that means you have to give around 1 month to it. आप हर दिन एक अपना आंसर लिखो और उसका sleep ताकि आपका माइंड को रिलैक्स मिले. And then again, you see it from a new perspective. So I would say go until kth iteration. And then the next thing is about SOPs. So I share a different worldview. Like I believe that you should share your SOP with everyone. And the blind test is you share with a random people. आप किसी अनजान लोगों को दो और उसको आप पढ़ाओ अपना SOP. and that person should tell कि अच्छा ये तो exactly आपके जैसा है. I mean, suppose आप एक क्लास में हो और आपका एसओपी कोई रैंडम क्लासमेट पढ़ता है, and the classmate should be able to tell कि that's exactly Hercules, because your SOP should be really unique, and it should tell you about your uniqueness. Like आपका SOP आपको आप कैसे यूनिक हो वो बताता है. And it should also give the readers a different perspective, because resume is very formal. तो आप एसओपी पे कोशिश करो कि आप अपना एक नया एंगल दिखाओ जहाँ पे जो रेज्यूमे से आपके बारे में नहीं पता चल रहा है. And at last, as I agree to what Vijaya said, like SOP is very therapeutic. Like आप जब उसको लिखोगे कि एक टाइम, तो more than आपका जो रीडर होगा वो जानने से पहले आप अपने आप को समझोगे, and that is very helpful. मतलब आप even though you don't get into our master's admissions, or let's say you don't go into the scholarship, but it will be very helpful to know yourself. And once you know yourself, you become mentally and emotionally very strong, which will definitely help you to get admission into any of the universities across UK or anywhere in the world. My last word of advice will be, not everyone will make it to Felix Scholarship, and definitely into other scholarship. That's the hard reality, guys. Because आप में से जितने लोग हो, I see there are like 40 or 50 viewers right now. Obviously, Felix has 20 scholarships, and more than that, SOAS पे 4 लोगों को मिल रहा है मास्टर्स के लिए. तो not 10% of you will get in. But अगर आप लोग अलग-अलग scholarship में try करते हो, तो definitely you'll get in. So my last word will be, keep trying, and keep trying as much until you succeed. Because if you keep trying, someday you'll definitely make it. Thank you, Johar.
Thanks.
Johar.
Radhika, will you be sharing the presentation?
Yeah, Trisha, yeah.
Okay, sure. So I won't take up too much time क्योंकि ज़्यादा time बचा नहीं है, and I think my friends have covered mostly everything that's important. So this presentation is just kind of to give you a sense of the main general points that you should keep in mind. But इसके साथ साथ मैं अपना अनुभव का भी बताऊंगी while going through it. So can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So Preetham already covered a lot of this part, the important information related to Felix. So I won't go through this again. So can you move to the next slide, Radhika? Thanks. Yeah. So for me, I think the most important question was what benefit do you believe your course of study will bring? So for me, I took up development studies. So for me, it was very important to focus on one specific problem and then go into how my degree would help in kind of addressing that problem when I come back. So it's kind of like this is actually your SOP for Felix. So and there is no word limit. So it's important to be comprehensive, but at the same time be precise. So like seeing that there's no word limit, don't go on and on about one specific point, but make sure to keep your writing very precise. The second one, give details of. Okay, so this I think it's important to not just talk about what your posts were and why, but also what did you learn from it. So it's not just general stuff like okay, मैंने leadership skills सीखा है नहीं, but what did you learn from this that will help you in your future career. Like for example, in one of this, I said that I learned things like interpersonal skills and consensus building, which would really help me in my work in the development sector when I'm working with communities. So ऐसे चीजें, if you can link it to your overall career path, it would be very useful for the panel as well. And finally, even for your extracurricular activities and interests, so firstly, don't shy away from sharing the ones that are not related to your degree. You can just say that okay, I was in the literary society, yeah, I was in the photography club, yeah, nature society, जो भी है, share it. But make sure that you kind of draw a link between that and what your overall career trajectory will be or your life trajectory will be. So if you talk about say in in the literary society, for example, if you were a part of literary society, then how did you make it more democratic? How did you make sure that people with different literary interests were represented? So ऐसी चीजें if you can put into your application, it will kind of help add up to that overall picture of your personality. Okay, can you move to the next slide? Thanks. Okay. तो statement of purpose इसमें मतलब बहुत कुछ already I think people have mentioned, so I don't have a lot to add, but one thing I would say is that pay attention to the writing. So you may think it's not that important, but the style of how you write, make sure that it's engaging, so the reader shouldn't disconnect from your story in between. So we call it like have a narrative style, like one sentence should lead on to the next, one paragraph should lead on to the next. And also everything in your life, I think the most important thing is reflect. Everything in your life, even though it may not seem like it was important, make sure you link it back to the overall journey that you're trying to show in your SOP. And one more thing, मतलब शुरू में लगता है कि you don't know, right, कि how will I connect what I've done to what I want to do. मेरे लिए तो बहुत ही मुश्किल था because I was coming from history and archaeology and I wanted to do sociology. Then बीच में I said नहीं, मुझे development studies पढ़ना है. So how do you connect that kind of a trajectory? That is something that will only become clear to you when you write. सो डोंट थिंक कि ओके राइटिंग करने से पहले ही मुझे सब कुछ फिगर्ड आउट होना चाहिए. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. राइट इट, एंड व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग इट, देन इट विल बिकम क्लियर टू यू, and it will also help you to build a strong structure for your CV, for your SOP. Sorry. And also about getting your SOP reviewed, I think it's important to get your SOP reviewed by both people who know you very well, like your friends, या even your family, या अगर कोई professor हो तो उनसे review कर लेना चाहिए. Or you should also get it reviewed by someone who has got a scholarship or who can tell you, who has some experience of the application process. So in दोनों चीजों से you will get a sense of is your SOP being true to yourself, one, and two, is your SOP something that is showing your merit to an external third party. And I think here it's very important to talk about why have you chosen your master's program, what is your motivation for doing this particular program, और उसके ऊपर I think that you people will be able to show very well through your journey and your previous experiences. But one important thing is why this university. I think a lot of people think when you can just say that ये university अच्छा है इस subject के लिए, but वो काफी नहीं है. You need to do more research into what exactly about this university fits into your interests, into what you want to do. For example, मेरा interest agrarian में था, agrarian development में, and SOAS has a very famous journal called Journal of Agrarian Change, और उनका काफी history है. बहुत सारे agrarian theorists, agrarian development पे काम करते हुए लोग, they've worked at SOAS. So इसीलिए they have a long history of that, and I mentioned that very specifically in my SOP. So if you can find something like that which relates to your degree, then make sure you mention it in your SOP. And and as Preetham said, very important to be clear about your long-term career goals, and also important to be clear about your expectations. Like what do you plan to gain from this degree that will help you in your short-term and your long-term career goals. And this can be things like just skills, like what you'll study from your course and stuff like that. But it can also be things like just the experience of meeting other international students. What can you learn from so sorry, मैं फिर से मेरे अनुभव से बोल रही हूँ, but मेरे लिए development studies था, तो I said that people from other developing countries, I would like to meet them and understand what their country's history of development and experience of development has been. And finally, as Preetham mentioned, connect your story in the end, just like the best stand-up comedians. Make sure कि एक अच्छा सा एक loop बने पूरा चीज. Okay, can you move to the next slide, Radhika? Yeah. Okay, LORs. So yeah, this can be either a very painful process or a very easy process depending on how you approach it. तो शुरू में I would say if you're अगर आप मतलब फर्स्ट ईयर में हो या सेकेंड ईयर में हो, तो अभी से आप आपके जो प्रोफेसर्स हैं उनसे एक रिलेशनशिप बनने का कोशिश करो. Like if they have taught you in a course, go up to them in their office hours, just talk to them कि okay मुझे ये अच्छा लगा, मुझे I need help in this, I didn't understand this, या catch them after class. ऐसी चीजों में just try to build a informal relationship with your professors, and the more you do that, the easier it will be to approach them for references. And secondly, even if you're not able to build a relationship with your professors for whatever reason, at the end of the day, this is their duty. This is kind of part of the responsibility of being a professor. So building a relationship is just so that they write you a letter not because they have to, but because they want to. And secondly, what matters is the content of the person. So if at the end of your college you have a few professors who know you very well, but may not be that, may not have an international education or things like that, I would say just go with them, because it ultimately it doesn't matter उनका क्या credentials क्या है, it matters वो आपको कैसे जानते हैं, like कितने अच्छे से जानते हैं, how will they represent your personality and your achievements for the scholarship panel. So make sure you choose someone like that. How to approach, very simple, write an email, best way. Write an email with some thought, putting some thought into it. Just don't write saying ki, I am applying for this course, I need this LOR. Nahi. First ask them how are they, how have they been doing, apprise them ki tum kya kar rahe the. If you haven't been in touch for a while, tell them about what you've been up to, ask them how their work has been going, and then you can start talking and you can say that I'm planning to apply this year for these universities, and I was wondering if you'd be okay to write my LOR. Okay, should I write the LOR by myself and give it to the referee? Absolutely not. And finally, sorry, essays wala, I think Preetham covered that. We just go back a few slides. Yeah, okay. So CV. CV is another point of existential crisis, just like your SOP. But isme, if you know, just the act of writing down everything you have done is like giving importance to whatever you have done so far. So just put it out there in your CV. If it's an internship, research assistance, any kind of volunteering jobs. Here I would like to add that if you are in your final year or nearing the end of your degree, or आपको लग रहा है कि I don't have the, you either don't know what you want to do for masters, or you don't feel like you have the background to pursue that, then I would really say consider working for a few years, because that gives you a sense of perspective, and it also gives you a sense कि आपको अच्छा क्या लगेगा, like in your entire life what do you want to do. So and India में जैसे हम करते हैं, you know, like बैचलर्स के बाद immediately हम मास्टर्स करते हैं, यहाँ के लोग ऐसे नहीं सोचते, उनके लिए मास्टर्स is like something you choose to do in addition to your bachelor's. So I would say adopt the same mindset, get off that rat race, that treadmill. आपको मतलब बैचलर्स के बाद immediately masters करने का कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Take some time and figure out what you like to do, and then apply for masters, and your application will be all the more stronger for that. And of course, as everyone suggested, publications, conferences, extracurriculars, ये सब भी रख लिया ना. Extracurriculars में I would still say don't put in things like I like to cook and bake in my free time, or I like to go for runs. But some things in which you can, you know, you've had, like as if it's a competition, अगर debating है, sports है, कुछ भी है, then you should mention that. And of course, please look at Surbhi's session, which is very comprehensive. So yeah. Next slide, please. Okay. Yeah, so as Pritam was saying, it's very important to have a tracker. Excel sheet खोल दो, just do that initial effort. सारे के सारे deadlines note down कर लेना. हर scholarship के लिए बाद में you can decide if you want to apply or not. But this is very important. So if you're at the beginning of your, or if you're planning to apply next year, or even now, it's not too late. Make that list and stick to it. And IELTS TOEFL के बारे में, so for people who like they have a lot of exercises for all the sections of it on their website, and बहुत सारे resources हैं online. So please look at that. And there are some coaching institutes which take some money and kind of claim to train you for it, but I would still say don't rely on them, because it's a big investment. So if you put in that effort by yourself, and if you kind of take help from people around you who might be able to help you, then this is, I would say, it's a better path to take. And apply early for, especially for programs, because by the time you get your decision, you should also, I mean, you should have your decision in hand before they shortlist you for the scholarships, especially I say for Commonwealth and other scholarships like that. You really need to have your offers in hand. So make sure you apply really early. And in the end, I just wanted to put together a few tips, general tips for people. Um, Firstly, and most importantly, don't lose hope, because I've been applying for 2 years, and I'm sure even Hercules applied for 2 years. And I know people who applied for 3 years, 4 years. So, is pura process mein it's difficult not to, but keep keep hoping. And each year that you apply, your application gets stronger, there's no doubt about that. So don't take it as a big blow to your plan. And finally, just a minute. Y- mm, yeah, actually no, I think I covered everything. So I think I'll leave the next 15 minutes for questions, and then we'll be happy to take your questions. And I think the last slide has our email ID. Oh, sorry. Yeah, other scholarships. It's a lot of effort, but please, if you can apply. Um, I think these are the first four are kind of applicable for Indians and for all universities, in most all universities in the UK. और बाकी जो है, I think there are some specific universities that GREAT is there for, and of course there are university specific scholarships. So if you apply for say Cambridge, then you automatically get considered for the Cambridge Trust scholarships. And and also keep your options open. Apply to part scholarships and loan scholarships like the J.N. Tata Endowment or Narottam Seksharya. They are a lot of effort, but at the end of the day, you should have some options in hand so that you can make a decision without that financial pressure on you. So yeah. And the last slide has our contact details, so you can reach out to us anytime because we are experts and we know everything. Thank you, Preetham. And also, yeah, the Shivni scholars won't help you, so we are the actual people who are going to help you out. So yeah, please do contact us, and we can address your questions now.
So, Adrija, Preetham, Hercules, Vijaya, thank you for this lovely guidance. And here comes the Q&A session. We have lots of questions on YouTube Live. Should I put it on the chat box? And then you guys can go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you can apply without completing your degree. I think Preetham and Vijay are better placed to answer that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead,
Preetham,
Vijay,
go
go
ahead. It's fine. You can go ahead. It's fine.
All
Yeah,
right.
take it.
Yeah, so that's what I think was similar in both of our cases. I mean, we received our degrees in July, but then we applied in January, and then for scholarship then we were interviewed in June. So yeah, you can apply before, but you have to be in your final year. That you will be completing your degree by the time you will start your course at SOAS or at what Oxford or Edinburgh.
Yes, and in order to add on, because they also need transcript while you're confirming the unconditional offer to study in a course. So again, if you do not have the transcript and stuff, so definitely need to have been completed the course before you just join another. But definitely you can apply. And also, another thing which I missed on while I was speaking was, if there is any confusion, please email to the course convener, program convener, admissions, there's a Facebook group, I guess. Also, there's so many avenues to us, to people. You go on LinkedIn, you find a lot of people. So I think just email people and ask. Don't be afraid. You can just shoot out 10 emails asking the same thing, and definitely somebody's going to come back to you. Definitely. So don't be afraid in that ways.
Do they consider MSc Digital Marketing at Reading? So I was just checking on this, and yes, they do consider it. So there's this MSc in Marketing at Reading, but then there are two pathways. One is general, and one is specialism. And one of the specialisms is digital marketing. And Felix does consider marketing as whatever one of the courses. So yeah, it's there. You can apply for.
For the next one, MA course, I'm not sure which course exactly, because I think some of them do require LORs. Hercules, you have your MA, right? So you can, I think, take that.
Yeah, LOR are required everywhere. Like for master's degree, you need. It might be an admin mistake, so I would say कि write them an email because during Felix Scholarship, वो समय में एक problem हुआ था कि the dates were opposite, and then I felt like this is somehow not right, and then I emailed them, and then they updated it. So this is on the same line कि LOR जरूरत होगा यार. This is more like common sense and जरूरत होगा. तो just write them an email confirming कि जरूरत है या नहीं है. If not required, then well and fine. But if it's required, then you would have a clarity. So just write them a mail asking ki, this is what it is written in the application form, and I somehow feel that it might be required. So उनको एक बार mail कर लो, वो confirm हो जाएगा. Or at least other thing will happen is even if it's you'll have an official record ki you ask them and you mentioned about it. So later on, अगर वो form में कभी भी add on भी होता है, तो they will consider you with late submissions or anything. So just mention that about this.
Yeah,
And
the Felix Scholarship doesn't require references separately. They'll just look at the ones in your SOAS application.
no, that is required in masters. For me, it was required.
I'm talking about the Felix Scholarship form.
Felix,
Yeah, they don't require separate references. They will look at the ones that your SOAS application form has, right?
Okay, I don't know. ठीक है. Next. Should I answer the next one? Occupation in your home country. So just tell them about what you want to do after coming back to India. From my personal, as I said, like I run a organization. So I told them about how I'll be running the organization and how it will, the SOAS degree will help me out in networking and also in understanding, developing a basic understanding and theoretical understanding of the area of field that I'm working. Moreover, just tell them that whatever you have worked, whatever you are learning, and just project them into the future. कि what you have, like कैसे वो तुमको मदद करेगा. So the three sentences that helped me shape the answer was अभी तक कैसे क्या पढ़ा है. Then it was how SOAS will help you in becoming a better version of yourself. And a point to note over here is don't take SOAS as a stepping stone. मतलब also think about giving back to SOAS because कोई भी नहीं चाहेगा कि तुम उसको use करके आगे बढ़ रहे हो. So at SOAS it should be a mutual thing that you get something from SOAS and you give something to SOAS, and combining your past and present, how you're going to shape the future. And word of advice, don't worry ki is your answer right or wrong because nobody has seen the future. I mean, even if you end up saying something crazy or some which might seem crazy to other people, but it makes logic to you, tell them that, hey, I'm gonna do this and this is what I intend. And even if the world is not seen in, I'll make it happen and I'll show it to the world. And be very formal, be very serious, and tell them that should work fine because yeah. So don't worry about will it make sense to them or not. Just tell whatever you feel that is the right answer.
Yeah, so maybe we can take it forward from here. So I agree with absolutely what Hercules said. But to add on a few points, I think when they talk about what proposed occupation you want to do, they want to know how clear you are about what you want to do in life, A. B, they want to know, okay, you want to do this master, or let's say you've done some XYZ course. How have you converted the skills and the knowledge which you have gone throughout the course or the internship or whatever XYZ things you have done? How do you convert them and how do you centralize them into an occupation? Because as I said, this master's, your undergraduate, your internship, your volunteership experience, etc., are just a way to achieve a means, and the means is your career, your profession, or whatever difference. I mean, for me, career is the difference you want to make in the world. For me, career is not just your own growth, or let's say monetary compensation or things like that. So I think they want to know what difference you want to make, or what is your position or role in the society. I mean, how will you drive the society in whatever ways? You can be a lawyer, you can be a linguistic, you can be a development expert, you can be a policy expert. So I think what they want to know is, okay, you and as an individual, how do you see yourself functioning in the society and driving the society forward as a capable individual? Okay, not talking a lot about it. Okay, Hercules, you want to add in? Sorry.
I wanted to add. So there's a video there's a video on by Acumen Fellowship. Check it out. The 5 minute ka video hai that clearly describe between hobbies, job, career, and your calling, like vocation. And a lot of the people sometimes they have hobbies which they want to make it to a career, or they think like, how can my job be something I'm really passionate about? It's a 5 minute video. Please check it out. काफी अच्छा वीडियो है. You'll get clarity कि क्या differences होता है, and then it will also help you in the essay, क्योंकि in your proposed जो future में काम करने का है, that's exactly what Vijaya said. It's asking about your career, and then you can tell them that this is the job you have done, and then how you want to make that as a career.
So taking on forward, I think, what is the word count? I think all of us have already told you there is no word count whatsoever, but we all have kept emphasizing on be precise. Nobody wants to read a 5,000 word thesis on a simple question. Again, nobody wants to read a 50-word answer to a question as important as what profession do you want to enter in. So I think add whatever you think is important and which would make a difference, but still it should be precise and not too long, because then you have lost the attention of the reader 100%. Okay, moving on to the next, defense and strategy study. Can anybody take this up? Okay, yeah.
I was saying, यार ये जो object मतलब Google searchable questions है ना, I think I would advise कि please confirm with the university, because I know SOAS में अभी एक नया program ही start हो रहा है for African, and that's something I think will not be updated, because we were updated about the courses that were offered during the time we were taking admission. जब हम admission ले रहे थे तो we went through all the programs जो कि उस समय offer हो रहा है, but this is something which point A is not, मतलब अभी हम लोगों ने we are not updated about it, we are not actively thinking about the courses that are offered, and second, it's very much Googleable. मतलब Google करोगे, you go to the website, you'll find it. So yeah, just Google it. That's my suggestion.
Yeah.
I think
Sorry.
yeah. No,
So
I mean,
sorry.
say go to the. You go ahead. Okay. I would say go to the program page on SOAS's website, and over there you'll find a list of all the programs, and you can easily search for it. And while I was searching just now, I found a course ME Global Security and Strategy, but it's online. So like that, you can find a course of your interest. So just go to the program page. Yeah.
Yes, I think questions like how is your program available or something like that. Sometimes there is a page link, but the program might not function the cycle in which you're entering in. So the best way forward is email, write to them. They're good people. Everybody replies back. It might take them some time because during the admissions time, it's quite busy. But I think people will get back to you and you'll be in a much more clearer position to understand which course you might undertake. Moving on forward to the next one, do academic CV prefer 2 pages? I personally think anything beyond 2 pages too much. What you think, if you think you've done a lot of work, maybe you can just write down. That's what I do. After 2 pages, I write down in the footnote that on request, I can send you my detailed resume. or something like that, if you think you have much more stories to tell. But I think anything beyond 2 page is a bore. I think even 1 page is good. Yeah, Hercules, you can go next.
To clarify, I learned this recently कि UK में for postgraduate you require 2 pages, and if it's any degree related to finance, economics or mathematics जहाँ पे numbers होते हैं वहाँ पे 1 page resume is preferred. तो ये चीज याद मतलब I learned it very recently.
I think it makes sense in relevance of which field you're applying, as Hercules said, in which country are you applying. So I think it's again good to talk to people about how especially professionals, how would they curate their CV. But I think it's common sense. Anything beyond 2 page, you're going to lose the interest no matter how good work you have done. So I think, yeah. Okay. And then what sort of questions are asked during the interview round? That's a little tricky. Firstly, it depends on what course you have applied for. It's going to be difficult because, I mean, when we all four interacted after our interview, all of our experience was, okay, the interview is difficult. They're going to ask about everything, they are going to dig deeper into your resume. So I think the basic core of developing a resume is don't lie, don't overstate, because once you go into the interview round, they're going to fire questions on everything and anything. And if you have lied about anything, and they're going to be leading professionals from your industry in the interview, so you cannot lie to them. Basically, they're going to know the people whom we have worked with, they're going to be friends with them. So do not lie in your resume. Again, preparing for interview is a different cup of tea, but I think if you are true to what you have written in your SOP, in your question answer, in your resume, I think you will not have any problem if you have done the work. I definitely think they might roast you a little because you know you have done XYZ work up to 70%. There is always 100% and beyond. They might roast you, but I think if you know what you have done, then it's going to be fine. You're going to get there. Take a deep breath. Yeah, Hercules, you can go next.
Sorry, I'm talking a lot. So I also think interviews are very much about your checking your confidence, articulation, and clarity. So it's like वो pressure test होता है कि they see how much pressure can you handle, and even at times when they are like really roasting you, and कितना calm and composed हो. So yeah, ये मैं सोचो कि मैं सही जवाब दे रहा हूँ या गलत जवाब दे रहा हूँ. Obviously, it's good if you're giving the right answer, but if you are able to explain something which is wrong but in a very correct way and with like calm and composed, that means कि आपके पास confident है, आपके पास आप pressure में अपना you don't lose your state of mind, and you have the ability to take control of things when things are not turning out as you expected them to be. So yeah, interviews are not just about right answer or wrong answer, but it's also about how you answer them and with what attitude you answer them.
I can just agree with what he said. They're going to check your professional skills. They're going to check how strong are you as a person, because you're flying out of a country and they're assuming you're going to be alone in that country. You'll handle all the pressures. So if you cannot handle the pressure of an interview, surely that's going to be leading a question mark on you. How are you going to handle and access all the other problems that shifting to a new country poses upon you? So definitely, but then again, be what you are. And I think aptitude in that sense matters a lot. Sometimes it's good that you do not go or get some things. You might think this is the end of the world, but I think if you do not have aptitude for something, and later we realize that is not maybe what we wanted in life, but at the moment we wanted it. So again, be true. And again, you can practice it with your mentors or whoever you think is appropriate. Practicing for interviews always a good choice, because we're not used to that format of conversation when you're undergrad or something like that, even if you're a working professional, of that sort of interview. So, and the panel is going to be composed of people from all across, all over the fields, not only your field. So there are going to be some tricky questions. I just think be honest, and you will get there if you have to. Yeah. The next question is there a written test in the scholarship?
One thing. I think
Sorry.
Keita wanted to
I just
add.
wanted to add,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
a very small detail is I would personally say that it's okay to say that you don't know the answer of any particular question. It's okay to ask for a minute or two so that you can think about that rather than rushing to answer that question. Just say that, can I please take 2 minutes? Think about, I know that situation is very tense, and even in those 2 minutes it's very hard to think and construct your argumented response. But it's fine to, instead of bluffing about something, I would say that, sorry, I do not know the exact answer to it, and I would just take like 2 minutes to think what am I going to respond.
And I would just add that if anyone does get selected, then please you can get in touch with us and we can tell you in a lot more detail about the interview, because it was quite scary. So but it turned out good in the end. So you can just get in touch with us later.
Yeah, maybe we can move on to the next question. I don't think there was a written test for the scholarship. If anybody disagrees, can go ahead. And then the last question for today's session would be sort of a technical question. How exactly are we supposed to answer personal, family, government income in 2022, 2023, 2024, etc.? Would anybody like to take that question?
I can take it because people have been asking me that as well. So, what I would suggest is that if your degree is only 1 year, then I think you'll only have to answer for the 22, 23 year. You won't have to answer beyond that. And so, I would say be honest. So, whatever your family can actually contribute, you can put that down. And government funds, obviously not all of us have government scholarships or have even applied, so it's okay to put zero in that category, or in the student loan category if you're not sure if you're okay to take out a loan yet. And personal, also be honest, if you work then you can put down your savings. I mean, if you worked only for a few years there won't be a lot, so don't worry about it kind of skewing the scholarship uh, process. Yeah. Did anyone else want to take that?
One
You
already
mean
put.
family income? Pritam, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, if you want to add anything to that one.
No, I told them, कि for me, I just indirectly told them through sentences like how my father is working in a like grade B होता है ना, जैसे इंडियन जैसे, because he is in a government office, तो उसमें होता है ना क्लास A क्लास B वैसे करके, या फिर ग्रेड A ग्रेड B. So I use some sentences like कि how my father like earning a pay scale of grade B, he had like supported us, and then to वो मैंने मतलब indirectly I tried to mention about what sort of economic background I come from. वो मेरे एक strategy था, because there was no way I could directly tell them कि hey, this is what the exact amount of like जो ये salary है. And on the other side, I already knew कि अगर his salary is like combined salary, we don't have enough to support the education. But I also wanted कि subconsciously उनको पता है, so I used my SOP का एक दो line मैंने वहाँ पे family income को ये किया था. Like, so I use some sentences like my father is a first generation learner and I'm a second generation learner. Then I use something like my mom is a housewife. तो मैं जब ये सब के बारे में बताता हूँ, तो they get a perspective of my family, like क्या कैसा economic condition है. And I think it worked out for me. Yeah.
Shall we move on to the next one? Yeah, you're not eligible to apply if you already have a master's degree. So, um, the video's name, I think the one you were talking about, Hercules, the Acumen
Oh,
method.
Acumen. So it's called, I'll share the link, and it's also by Elizabeth Gilbert. She is a very famous writer. And she talks on Acumen Fellowship. The title is, give me a minute, I'll tell you the title. The title is Distinguishing Between Hobbies, Job, Career, and Vocation. It's by Elizabeth Gilbert. I'll take the last one. Can you say?
Yeah, I think you guys should take this one because
Mhm.
you started thinking about it when you were in university.
Okay, can you say I'm a BA first year now? So what should be a good strategy for me to apply for Master Felix Scholarship? I again think it should not be about a scholarship or about a course. Meanwhile, you're pursuing any degree, just try to identify the areas which you like, which you would like to work upon. Once you have identified the area, then go try to get some practical experience in that area. Feel it for yourself. Would you like doing it? Would you not like doing it for another 50 years of your life or whatsoever? If you think you like doing it, then you start Googling, going on university's webpage, which universities have this course and which course description attracts you the most. Once you are gone through that stage, then I think you should start thinking about, okay, XYZ universities have it. Now, what scholarships do they have? And what are the general scholarships which I can apply for? Like Felix is pertaining to 2 or 3 universities, but there's some scholarships like Shivni, XYZ, many more, which are applicable to many universities. So then maybe you can check upon the scholarships available, and then you can start talking particularly about Felix if you have already identified your interest and the university, and so as, not so as, Felix fits into your life story. Then I think it is important for you, again, go back, reflect, work, try to gain some practical exposure, or try to do some work. There's some fields where you cannot gain practical exposure. What you can do is contribute. So in whatsoever way you think you are pursuing your motivation or what you think is important, try to do some work on that. And then I think once you're clear about what you want to do, writing SOP, curating your resume, talking about LORs, all becomes, I mean, very easy, at least in my experience. So I think applying for scholarship is not different. The whole process appears difficult for us because we don't have that clarity. We have never sat down and introspected. Okay, I mean, you should go back and think after BA, let's say you want to do policy, but why do you want to do policy? What exposure do you have in policy? Which field inside policy would you like to contribute in? And what difference do you want to make? So I think these are some questions which you have to think for yourself because it's unique to everybody else. So I think that's what you can do. And apart from that, start talking to people who are doing what you want to do. I think that helps in the sense, not because you want to copycat the trajectory, but because you get a lot of ideas like, okay, this could have been done this way. Okay, this profession leads to so many different careers in an MNC, with government, with think tank, etc., etc. So I again think this whole process is not going to be about applying a scholarship or applying a program. It's going to be about what do you want, what difference do you want to make, and once you're clear with that, I think it will be easy. That's what I wanted to add on this. Yeah.
I would just say one thing, that I agree with what Vijaya said, but then you've asked that since you are in your first year, it's fine to explore, right? Because right in the first year, आपको idea कैसे बनेगा कि अच्छा क्या करना है, right? मुझे LLM करना है ह्यूमन राइट्स कॉन्फ्लिक्ट एंड जस्टिस में, फॉर इंस्टेंस, वो मुझे जब तक मैं 3 साल उस पर दूंगा नहीं, 3 साल मैं काम नहीं करूंगा. So I would say enjoy your subjects, right? For instance, I really enjoyed in my third year constitutional law. I was like, wow, my teacher was, luckily we got a brilliant professor and we really enjoyed. And then that's what Vijaya said, right? I think one thing which we don't do is we don't speak to our peers and discuss with our peers about a lot of the issues, right? That is very important. Constitutional law mein we used to just sit and chat about different things. I know it sounds very niche, but that's the way. And then uske baad you will develop your idea. So I would say, since you're in your first year, explore and explore, at least for the half of your time at undergrad school.
Can I also just add to that in the vein of Preetham and just say that in my first year, I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I had no idea I would end up doing what I'm doing now. So, and not just explore but enjoy, just padhai pe dhyan do, enjoy what you're studying and build relationships with people like your friends and your professors, not because you want to you want to get a scholarship, but because it's part of life and these relationships will stay with you even after you graduate. So Felix Scholarship or any scholarship shouldn't be the goal, shouldn't be the end. It should be a means to get to that end. And that end can be whatever you choose it to be, whatever your goals and your expectations are from life. So don't think of a scholarship as the end, it's just a means. And focus on the other aspects of your life. Develop yourself as a holistic individual, intellectually, emotionally, in any whatever way you think is important. So, and that will ultimately help you get to wherever you want to get in life. So, yeah, just keep the bigger picture in mind.
Yeah, and I want to speak on behalf of Hercules. He would definitely say, don't think about scholarship and stuff. You might end up leaving your course and becoming an entrepreneur like him. So I don't think your focus should be on a scholarship or a course. Just try to take in life, and you might end up wherever you want to. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, uh, mm, I want to speak. Like, so as Adrija said, focus on the end goal. I have something called a framework called options and goals. अगर simple शब्दों में बोला जाए तो let's say you are in Mumbai and then you want to go to Delhi. आपके पास बहुत सारे options होते हैं. You can go by train, आप बस से जा सकते हो, अपना बाइक चला के जा सकते हो, प्लेन से जा सकते हो, जैसा मर्जी है. But your end destination is Delhi. So similarly in life, I wanted to do something for language, and then वो उसके लिए कोई भी रास्ता मेरे को चुनना पड़े, मैं वो चुनने के लिए राजी था. And sometimes it's okay if you are choosing the way which is like fun, full of fun, not like super serious. Because you also should enjoy the process. So आप जब भी देखोगे आपके पास बहुत सारे options होंगे. Always remember that you have so many options to achieve your goal, and it's choose the one that you'll enjoy the most, because that's at the end it's all about the process, it's all about the journey, it's not about the destination. So yeah, that's it.
So I guess we can conclude the session now. We have taken a lot of time, but I hope, guys, it would be useful to all of you. Again, you can reach out to all of us, but I think don't reach out for normal stuff which you could Google or write emails for. But again, if you need help, you can reach out anytime, because something might be important. And I think it's fine reaching out for stuff which you may think it's silly. But I think it's always very important to do your own research and then reach out to people. That would make much more sense. And thank you so much for Eklavya, Raju, Radhika, everybody for having us over here. It was a pleasure. And I hope we could help a few people in guidance. I mean, just sharing our experience. We are also trying to find our way in life. So yes, thank you.
Yeah, Vijay, it has definitely helped a lot of people, and it's going to help. This session is going to be on the YouTube, and people can access it anytime and clear their doubts. The next batch can also do it. Thank you, Vijay. Hercules, Pritham, and Adrija, do you guys want to add something?
Yes, thank you for giving us this opportunity to share this, because it's all about democratizing this whole opaque scholarship process for everyone. So I hope this kind of goes towards that goal. Yeah. Thank you.
My 2 words will be uh, reach out for something which you cannot do, and that's where we come in. जहाँ पे आप लोग मतलब obviously you don't you're when you're stuck and you're not able to find answers, so our experiences will be beneficial. And at last, my second word will be, if I can make it, or if we can make it, definitely you can make it, because ultimately we are all humans, Indians. सबका कहीं ना कहीं life में we at some point we were aiming to come here, and now we are here. So if you're watching the video, I know you somehow somewhere aim to study abroad, so you're already taking the first step, and keep working, so that you'll definitely be here. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thanks
Over
a
to
lot.
you, Pritham.
Yeah, Pritham. Okay.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for giving us.
Thank you for your precious time. Thank you for this very enriching, informative session. Thank you for clearing our doubts, even the silly doubts. And once again, I thank you all for being here on behalf of Eklavya family. Have a nice evening from this side. I don't know what time is it now there. So have a nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Keep up
afternoon.
the good work. Keep up the good work. You're doing really great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we can end this session, right?
Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Johar everyone.